No, anyway,
Yeah, we're on. We're on.
okay.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, this is the sponge tasting. So we've got a lineup of 7 scotches. I think there's a few of us on the call that have the rums too, Igor. Maybe for dessert, those that have it can whip those out. But really for the tasting, we're doing the 7 scotches, a couple Equinox and Solstice, and then the Orkney. That doesn't have sponge on the bottle. You'll have to talk about that, Igor. And then the last four are all the official sponge releases. So looking forward to
okay.
this, Igor. Thanks for joining us. Always fun to do independent bottlers. Always fun to do the stuff specifically that you bring in. I think out of all the IBs in Canada, you I think this is our third or fourth tasting with you, right?
Yeah, I
Um,
think number four already. Yeah.
yeah, so it's something that this group really appreciates, and we love having you on. And so I pass the baton to you, Igor. Before that, everyone, it's going to be the Aberfeldy, then the Bal Blair. We're starting off with those two, and then we have the Orkney,
Orkney.
then the Glen Grant, and then I don't know if you want to switch things up at the end or stick to the Ardmore, Croftengea. I don't know. I probably didn't pronounce that one right. And then the Knockdhu at the end.
Maybe we're gonna switch Croftengea and Ardmore, but okay, we'll see. Anyway, let me still think about it a little bit. I'm gonna smell them and I'm
Okay.
gonna let you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
In terms of house
so
rules,
yeah,
I think Igor, you're okay with people interrupting, but we'll try to keep it at a minimum. You
I'm actually like when people interrupted me.
okay? Very good.
Because it shouldn't be. I'm always saying, it shouldn't be kind of monologue. It's supposed to be conversation.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it's not so interesting because I tried all of this whiskey. I know all of this whiskey, and it doesn't make sense for me just to talk about it. I would like to hear your opinions, your actual impressions, and tasting notes because I'm not a fan of the tasting notes. If you actually done already tasting with me, I'm trying to get tasting notes from you because it's very personal, I think. First of all, good evening, guys, and thank you
yeah.
so much. Thank you so much for joining because I'm kind of already, continuing automatically. I'm in a, go mode. So basically, all of the bottles that we're trying right now coming from one company. The kind of big name, the head name of the company, Decadent Drinks, and it has quite a few lineups or lines. It's whiskey sponge, cognac sponge, rum sponge, Armagnac sponge, and quite a few different lineups for whiskey. So first lineup first bottle that we have we call Equinox and Solstice. As you know, it's a big kind of day for the Scots. It's coming back from the basically pagan religion of the Scots, and it's up to now it's one of the kind of big celebration for the in Scotland. And so basically, sponge, which is Angus macrailed. It's a name of sponge, the real name, because definitely he's not sponge by the name. And so Equinox and Sponge and Solstice series created by Sponge for the whiskey drinkers. It's not for the collecting, hoarding, kind of. It's a line that people should drink, should open the bottle and drink. So the first one, Aberfeldy. Why I like actually Angus Aka Sponge. Uh, I like him because he's always thinking outside the box. He's definitely not boring bottler because he always kind of surprising me and still surprising me, and I hope he's going to surprise me again and again. And so one of the interesting things about even Equinox, that's okay. That's a whiskies for drinkers. But on the other hand, he's trying to show to the whiskey drinkers that how, for example, independent bottling can be different from official. That's another kind of type of the idea, kind of idea behind Equinox and Solstice. Because okay, some of the bottlings pretty much akin to the official ones, but some of them not really. And what we have in our glass right now, it's a Brefeldi. Actually, it's a really good example of this. So it's not a secret for you that a Brefeldi official, quite inoffensive, quite boring whiskey. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's nothing bad about it. It's just if you actually accustomed to drink something more interesting, a Brefeldi, it's not your whiskey, or it's a whiskey for the when you have a company and a few guys that don't know shit about whiskey and don't give a shit about whiskey come into your place, but they know that you actually whiskey drinker, and they saying to you, okay, pop up some bottle, we're gonna drink whiskey. So Aberfeldy, it's a perfect whiskey for that, because I mean, I'm talking about official bottling, but this bottling is quite a bit interesting, in my opinion. And so you've tried already a couple of sips, right? Which is very good because I like when people start drinking. You don't need my kind of sign or command that you can start. No, you can start anytime. And compared to, so everybody knows official bottling of, let's say, 12 years old Aberfeldy, right?
Yeah.
So are you agree with me that it's really different? It's like really from the different distillery, basically. Because I never experienced with the official Aberfeldy 12, for example, those very prominent waxy notes, right? It's the one thing that I can tell about it. And for the sponge, it's actually quite interesting and prominent descriptor of the whiskey. If he's getting something like a little bit waxy, that's a huge plus for him, like literally huge, because he's a big fan of the Highland whiskies, and especially of that lost, basically lost Highland profile. If you know what I mean, if you don't, I will explain a little bit further. Actually, yes, it's a good place to explain this because it's like you remember, it was bad year for the whiskey industry, 1983, when it's a lot of distilleries were closed, completely closed down for good, or some of them right now reopening, which is very good. But again, uh, it's good that they reopening this, but are we gonna see good examples from those distillery? I'm not sure. Because first of all, I'm always saying the people that used to make those whiskey already gone. In the best case scenario, they retired. In the worst case scenario, they not with us anymore. So I'm not sure that somebody can recreate the same profiles of the whiskey. And I'm talking about whiskeys like Brora, like Dallas Dew, Milburn, Banff, uh, what else? Name it. Uh, Glenalbin.
Like
Hmm?
I like what you're saying about the wax, right? That little kind of almost Klein Liege, but softer, more mellow, more honey than
Absolutely agree with you.
kind of old
Absolutely.
style. I very much
Uh,
like you say as a drinker, right?
yeah, yeah. It's actually exactly my first impression of this bottle was when people asking me in two words how you can describe this whiskey. I'm always saying it's kind of Clarnellish. So that was my first impression. That's why I like this whiskey very much. And also it's a good starter, because it's just a touch of bitterness maybe in this whiskey or something like that. It's actually you kind of open in your palate. Palates you open in your nose. you kind of a little bit salivating, you actually preparing yourself for the second drum, which is very good. You know, at the end of the day, we have 7. So we're not, as I understood, we're not really strictly kind of limited by time, but still we have 7. So first impression, please, guys. Can somebody tell me something?
Yeah, I see a lot of cantaloupe, a lot of lime, notes, creamy.
Okay.
We've been going back and forth in the chat.
Yeah, looking at the chat
Love
there.
it.
Yeah,
It's
lime
okay.
was definitely what jumped out to me, like maybe second sip or so.
Okay.
What note, Colin? Sorry.
The lime, yeah.
Lime,
but,
yes.
Whoever Kevin beat me to the punch, but that was what I was gonna say.
Yeah. Okay. Colin, as always, you first. I know. So who else, please?
I like what you're saying about the bitterness and the and sort of like I'm really aligning with this idea where it's like, all right, it's making me want to have the next one. You know, it's like
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. That's the point.
it's something
And,
weird. Like, you know, I never thought of whiskey like that, but when you laid it out like that and I'm drinking this, I'm like, yeah, I can see that. This is the one to start. And
Yeah.
now I'm like, okay, I want another one, you know.
Like
So,
for me was not even question from where to start. Aberfeldy, it's a perfect start. It's not overly complex. It's not something like really offensive, because mind you, it's another interesting point about the equinox and solstice. It's actually single casks usually, but they not cask strengths, because all the equinoxes it's 48.5. Somehow Angus Sponge found for himself the perfect drinking strength. It's very personal, I guess, but it works for me, you know, because I'm not a huge fan. I'm too old to be a macho, you know, and I don't really, when you know, somebody drinking 60 ABV and saying, "Oh, that's a good shit." Like, why you actually burning your own palate? Like, is it really act of you know, kind of bravery, or what's the point? You know, you can obviously you can try cask strength first, like little sip, never hurts. But after that, you know, I'm not anymore ready to drink very high strength. For me, the kind of perfect borderline is probably 50, because after 50, I begin to feel that my actually palate becoming numb a little bit, and I'm definitely missing something. So, but it's my personal stuff. But okay, 48.5, it works for me well. It has some, obviously, it has some freedom to play with the water, which I'm strongly suggest you to try. If not with the first one, with the second, with the third, with the Wilson. But because we're gonna have combination tonight, like diluted whiskey, like Equinox and cask strength. So it's up to you what to do, but it's always interesting to play with the book, in my opinion. It's giving you
these are
just a
single
little.
cask then. The equinox and solstice is still single cask.
It's a single cask, but it's not cask strength.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not natural cask.
For me, I'd say for me, it's kind of evoking almost like a white wine note, like a Cab Sauv, like or a Sauv Blanc, like a mineral, kind of minerality going into like the citrus kind of tropical fruit notes. So I think it's a perfect opener.
Almost a little.
Yeah, very good point, Jamie. Very good point, because for me, it's exactly what you said. It's a little bit like white wines notes, definitely. We can discuss it's Sauvignon Blanc, or it's a Riesling, or it's dry rye or something like that. I don't know, but it's definitely there. It's kind of good, very good observation. I agree 100% in that. So somebody else? Okay, first questions that I always ask, and I'm always kind of thinking about that, like the best descriptor of the whiskey, right? It's I like it or I don't like it. That's a kind of main descriptor, because we can dissect whiskey for hours, because like I said, everybody has their own unique sense of taste and smell and so on and so on. But the main and most important for me, after 25 years probably drinking whiskeys, it's I like it or I don't. So that's a question that I always ask it. So I hope I'm gonna get good answer. So I hope, but I'm no pressure. Is it okay, whiskey?
Yeah, I like it. I find it very suitable as a summer dram because it's lighter, a lot of citrus, very refreshing, a long citrus finish. It's a great summer dram.
Okay, great. It's actually right on time. You can sip this outside on a patio and actually enjoy it, because you're not always enjoying like really heavily sherried whiskey, for example, in the summer, or overly peated whiskey in the summer. That's a perfect sipper. Yes, I would agree. It's a perfect summer sipper. But overall, not bad, right?
Oh, very good.
Okay, great. So that's a point, that's a point and the goal of the sponge, to have series of the whiskey that not overly expensive, not kind of breaking your bank or something like that. Unfortunately, it's very difficult nowadays to talk about cheap whiskey or inexpensive whiskey, because the industry going crazy. They basically cut in the branch where they're sitting on, which is shame. Which is, for me, it's really shame, because they keep forgetting about whiskey drinkers. I don't know what they doing. Despite that, I'm 10 years in the whiskey business. I absolutely hate the situation. What's right now happening? What's going on?
Oh, is that? Can you guys see that?
No, I lost everything.
No, okay. No, keep going, guys. I'm trying to make.
Okay, get back.
We could see the. I could see.
Yes, it got back, Sam. Everything okay. So I guess you would agree with me, unfortunately, with that. But we're still trying to bring more or less good whiskey, more or less affordable whiskey. It's not possible anymore in majority of cases, but at least I never compromise with the quality of whiskey. That I can assure you. If I don't like whiskey, I'm not gonna bring it. That's for sure. That's number one rule for me. And actually, I always tell them it's two simple rules. Because I'm not behaving as a business person in this case. I'm behaving as a whiskey lover. So for me, it's always, I have to answer two questions. Do I like this whiskey? So number one, obviously. And the number two, am I gonna buy this whiskey myself? If the answer is yes, I'm probably gonna bottle this whiskey, or I'm gonna bring this whiskey. Another side of the business, it's I'm a distributor, so it's a two-way street. And unfortunately, sometimes I have to bring some of the expensive whiskey because it's my distribution agreement. So I'm just in case I'm just in case right away telling you, and I'm not gonna accept any complaints about whiskey prices, because majority of us doing our best to keep the prices more or less okay. Me too, but it's not always possible. Okay. I'm not gonna complain too much. It's my short rant about whiskey industry, but I will still bring the whiskey. I will still go, and let's go to the second one, which was a quite big surprise for me. So Belvedere, and I love Belvedere, but I didn't see good bottles of Belvedere for a while. And if you guys remember, it was quite a few excellent Belvedere that they released in the 90s and the beginning of 2000s. It was actually even in LCBO. And I was buying them a lot because it was age statements. And also it was a single cast. Do somebody remember that, right? It was quite a few very good Belvedere. And after that, it's like boom and disappear. In the last 15 years, probably, I guess. No, at least.
I know I had one
Well-
at Joss's place that was amazing. Like, you know, those 90 something bottles you have, Joss? Is that what Igor's talking about?
The 91, I think is the one you had at my place. Once Igor started talking about the 80s stuff, there was an 83 bottle we had an NWO tasting that was absolutely incredible.
No, but they all were released in beginning of 2000, something like that.
Yes.
And they all when they actually get that funny shape of the bottle, like a almost round bottle.
Mm.
Yeah. That was quite a few very good Belvederes. After that, it's like I said, it disappeared suddenly. And I was very happy to get this Belvederes. I was like hoping that it's gonna be something from at least similar or at least a little bit similar like those ones. And I was very happy to I'm very happy to report that it's exactly the same profile, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, you're right. It reminds me of that, Igor, and then just brought down a little bit to that like more drinkable proof.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the bottle you had, Igor, right at Whiskey Wonderland. You had
Yes.
it in your backpack and ready for the occasions.
Yeah, and quite a few of people that actually I see on the screen tried it. I think obviously you tried it. Yeah, Bobby, you tried everything.
Yeah, I think
You basically you basically tried right now every whiskey that exists.
yeah, I think the open bottle, because I assume your bottle was opened already, Igor.
Yeah.
I got more like buttery notes when I had it with you, and I think maybe because this is a fresh that needs more time to breathe.
Yeah, possible. Yes, very much possible.
Because
Yeah.
I don't like it now. I liked it when I had it when we were at Whiskey Wonderland.
No, but it's the same. Absolutely.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
just give it a time a little bit, and it's those buttery notes they come.
That's
More
what
of
For
it-
me,
getting all
Second.
pastries, chocolate.
Yep.
Yeah, this is a lovely drinker.
for me, it was like more pastries, more like a French bakery or something like that. Like in the morning. Yeah, it's actually very fresh memories for me because last time I've seen Sponge, it was actually in Paris, and every morning we get into the bakery obviously to eat something.
Or le croissant.
Yes. Yeah, it's a good memories. And after that, whole bunch of shitty whiskeys because it was Whiskey Life Paris, and I decided not to drink Scotch. I decided to drink only whiskeys from European countries. Doesn't matter, France, Belgium, Germany, and
Oh, look
everything.
at you.
Yeah, and I didn't find even 3 good ones, unfortunately. So they still on the way. Some of them definitely has potential, and after that, when I actually come in there and I'm trying like 5, 7 quite bad ones, I'm coming to the cognac section and I'm getting a couple of excellent cognacs, and I was like, okay, everything okay. We still have a good stuff in Europe, no problem. We're good. And after that, I'm coming back again to my research, and again, disappointment after disappointment. But anyway, we still have good stuff. Just a second. I'm sorry. I have to put my lights on because I'm getting like darker and darker. I can see that. Yes, and
There was one mainland bottle, Igor, that we almost got for the tasting, but you swayed me away from it, and I still want to try that. I forget the name of that distillery. Do you remember what I'm talking about? It was young.
Yes, a German one.
Yeah, the German one. Yeah.
It's good, but it's it's not a good representative, for example, for that particular tasting because it's gonna be very much outsider. And I cannot see this whiskey in a lineup like that. Because if at some point we're gonna decide to do something, or you're gonna decide to do something like whiskeys from all over the world, that's gonna be good filler for that. But with the scotches, I'm not sure. It's gonna be like a really like a black sheep.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, it's not a bad whiskey at all, but it's not going well tonight, I guess. And you choose so many good whiskeys already, like to have kind of outsider, it's not
We
really.
had like 30 bottles to choose from or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So it was tough. Anyway, you choose good one. Just a little bit surprised for me that you choose like 3 peated whiskeys, but that's fine. I know that people love peated whiskey, so it's no problem. So second one, what do you think?
Okay.
I like the second one better. Like you say, for me, it's all pastries and chocolate, and yeah.
I like the first one better. I found the first one to be much more drinkable. I really enjoyed that interesting lime notes. The second one has a lot more cantaloupe, a lot more stronger cantaloupe than the first one. But
okay,
I also found there was a bitter note, mid to late palate that I was struggling with. And there was more pepper. I mean, I don't know if I am. Sometimes I like pepper, sometimes I don't like pepper. I couldn't decide on this particular draft.
listen, Kevin, it's absolutely okay. It doesn't make sense to love everything. First of all, it's impossible. Second of all, what we're trying to give you a little bit variety, a little bit broad spectrum, what can be done.
Yeah.
And that's the most important stuff. And absolutely, if sometimes when people asking me or saying, "Oh, all those whiskey are great," I hate it, like seriously hate it, because it cannot be. It's impossible, Or the very popular, very popular questions when some clients calling me and say, "Is it great bottle?" I said, "No," and it's after that it's like, "What? What do you mean no?" I said, "No, it's not a great bottle. It's a good bottle, but it's not great. Great. It's different range of the bottles. 10 years old whiskey barely can be great if we're seriously talking.
Yeah.
If we're talking about like 25 plus 30 years old whiskey, yes, it's different category.
Yeah. I think for me, part of the reason why I like the Aberfeldy is because it was different to what you might get from Aberfeldy normally. For me, this Belle Blair also was more representative of what Belle Blair is normally, or what it used to be.
Okay.
So what I like from independent bottlers, and the reason why I became one is because I like to present different things.
Okay.
I want to see what Aberfeldy isn't or what it could be.
Okay, good point. Good point. You see, for me, it's not always. So That's why I told you about that. I didn't have Bell Blair for such a long time, so I was almost like craving Bell Blair, you know. And finally, I get this bottle, and I was like, okay, it's good. So it's it's akin to those Bell Blairs, but at least it's not really uh not good or something like that. So that, you know, it's always thinking on the different from the different perspective, from the different angles. So yeah, like for me it was one of the most popular bottles for myself, because, and that was the reason why I took this actually to Whiskey Wonderland, because I like it.
To me, I like the viscosity of this. I like the butteriness.
Mhm.
I don't know if I would rate it higher than the Aberfeldy, but what turns me off a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit towards the end, is the bitter peel at the end. It's
Yeah,
Okay. Bitter what? Sorry.
bitter peel, like a
Bitter peel. Okay. Okay.
bitter marmalade at the end.
Okay, I got it.
I think that's why I like it, oddly enough. I liked it more because of that bitterness and because of that marmalade feel. It's exactly what I liked about it. It's funny you just said
Guys, you already made my day. If you actually asking me, you already made my day, because it's you see that about the same descriptor, two people, one like it, another one not so much. That's the point of those tastings. That's the goal of those tastings. That's my favorite part of the tasting, because like I said to you, if all of you gonna say that you love them all, that's for me something something wrong, you know, because they should be different, and we all different as the humans. So when it's like, you know, oh, great, okay, boring, sorry, it's no even soil, no ground for discussion, you know, it's not interesting. And I'm still trying to kind of be involved in a tastings like this, not only as a whatever host or presenter or whatever. I would like to discuss with you whiskeys. I would like to discuss with you bottles. That's the point. So you all good, and you all right, and it's so interesting to hear, by the way.
Yeah, I dipped my toes into the Orkney one ahead, and that one's a winner for me. That's going to be a hard one to beat. It's everything
Okay.
I want Highland Park to be.
Okay, so if we come into the next bottle, so it's interesting because, so first of all, about those two O's that we have on a bottle.
Yeah.
You see those two big O's on a bottle. So basically, that was a closed distillery, closed many years. It's called Stromness. That distillery was in Orkney, and I think it's demolished completely, right? It's doesn't exist anymore. So, but Sponge actually asked for the permission to use this logo of Stromness, because I think Stromness was, I'm not sure entirely, but it was or very close to Highland Park, right? Or it was even attached to Highland Park Distillery, something like
Not a
that.
big island.
Maybe not. I'm not sure. Huh?
It's not a
Somebody
big
knows
island.
this. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know. I have to check this story. But anyway, that's a Stromness logo, and it's obviously Highland Park. It's not Scapa, and that's another point. We're coming back to the official bottlings versus independent bottlings. So if somebody gonna tell me that it's really like 12 years old Highland Park now, I would argue
No, this is way better.
very
Wow.
strongly.
This is so good.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
nothing like Highland Park 12.
No,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would have all of this in seconds.
Yeah, this is the one I think out of this tasting I'm gonna be bugging Jesse, Igor, someone to get a bottle. This is
It's
just so fun to drink. It's not complex. There's not that many layers. It's got some smoke. It's got some maltiness. It's got a little sweetness, but it just feels so good. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
it's in that same line of scotches that you want to open and drink.
Yep.
But this is my favorite profile out of the first three.
So I would agree 100%. It's ridiculously big surprise for me. And I know that Angus really big fan of Highland Parks, and I know he've done quite a few, and they very good and quite different. But this young one really surprised me of the just amazingly high quality. We can talk about like complexity. We can talk about lots of like tasting notes and everything, but it's such a great Highland Park, which is actually almost doesn't exist anymore. If you come into the official bottlings.
I don't have
Because-
that many tasting notes for you. Like, there's not that many tasting notes. It's just really fun to drink.
Yeah, but Simon, and on the other hand, it's actually very typical Highland Park
Yeah.
that used to be many years ago.
And by the way, guys, this is some of the bottles we're having tonight. Specifically, Igor told me you should have this in the tasting. It's not one of the ones that I personally picked. This is one of those. This is one that I didn't even think about, and Igor said, no, you should get that Highland Park.
Yeah. But
Okay,
for me, it was, yeah.
It reminds me of the old Highland Park 15
Exactly.
because
Exactly.
it's bourbon cask, right?
It's a bourbon cask. Yes. Yes. It's a bourbon cask, and it's I think it's a very good bourbon cask also, because you can see, and it's actually first fill bourbon. So first fill bourbon. I'm never gonna say that I'm a huge fan of the first fills, but with some of the whiskey it works the best. Because and it's definitely with Highland Park, because Highland Park is a big, bold distillate, So first fill really good for the Highland Park. So I see. So anyway, how about that? Everybody likes it, I guess. It seems to me.
I was gonna say I went looking for the old Highland Park as a comparator.
Okay.
But it won't compare well to the 18 because the 18's sherry cask.
It is
Yes.
sherry cask. I don't have an old 15 with me.
18 it's a combination, I think, sherry and bourbon, but the bottle that you hold in, it's not the really old Highland Park. I'm talking about really like 90s.
Yeah.
Maybe even further down the road. Because when it was a lot of Highland Parks in a bourbon cask, nobody think too much about sherry. Because it was cheap, by the way. It was dirt cheap.
Well, this bottle was $65, and I don't know what the current 18 is going for because I haven't bought one in a long time.
A few hundreds, I think.
Yeah,
it's over
250 or something. I have the
And yeah, sorry, Bobby.
It's okay.
And unfortunately, as I see, I tried 18, like recent 18. It was basically, for me, was barely drinkable, and not because I'm a snobbish or something like that. It was just when you have a memory of the Highland Park that you used to like, it's quite difficult to drink this one, because it's so engineered. It's so kind of, like polished. It's so customized. I don't know how to say it. It's like engineered. It's probably the best descriptor, you know, because you cannot see those raw, beautiful honey, seaweed, little bit of peat that used to be in a Highland Park, and suddenly that bottle, which has almost everything that used to be in a Highland Park. So, in my opinion, it's a big surprise, and it's quite successful.
The one they did, I mean, wasn't that recent, but in the last few years that I thought was actually decent was the ice. I forget how old it was like mid-teens, but it is certainly not priced appropriately.
Yeah, that's another unfortunate, you know, at some point, maybe you remember, Colin, at some point, especially before COVID, I actually bottled probably, I don't know, like for heads and tails, I bottled probably like six or seven Highland Parks. And they were so well priced that it's hard to believe that like 25 years old, 24, 23 years old Highland Park used to cost like 210, 220 in retail.
No, that's one of the first splits that I did was an archive that had like a 24, I think, year old Highland Park in it. And it wasn't ridiculously expensive.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Archives actually up to just the recent days used to be one of the best priced independent bottlers. Yeah, but you know, like I said, that those times are gone. I'm desperately
that's the first Highland Park where I said, okay, this is what Highland Park is.
Yes. Actually, right now I brought another sponge, 19 years old, and it's quite good too. It's a little bit different, but it's really good. And also has those two O's from the Stromness. And yeah, it's yeah. I'm going in 2 weeks. I'm going to Scotland. I'm going to special event with Sponge. He's didn't say to me actually what's gonna be. He said it's gonna be quite a lot of surprises. I just asked him. Is it good surprises or bad? And he said, why the fuck I'm gonna ask you to come to Scotland to give you the bad surprises? I said, okay. So as long as it's gonna be good, I'm going. Yeah. So I'm gonna really seriously talk to him about more and more special releases for Canada. And here we go. So my second special release for Canada, Glen Grant.
Yes.
So right now I have to drink.
Yeah, this opened up really nice from when I first got it like a month and a bit ago. It's much different. Way better now. Way better.
I told you, Bobby. You have to wait with that particular whiskey. You have to be patient because
so different.
Let's start it with the first thing. It's quite high ABV. It's a full cask strength. It's 57.8.
Yeah, but it drinks like 48 to me. I don't find this very strong at all.
Yeah, it's good, but still ABV holding up a lot of the congeners, which is anyway taste carriers. And when you're trying from the freshly opened bottles, you have to open the bottle. You have to hold it for, I don't know, 1 hour. That's what I like to do. And after that, pour to the glass and again, hold for maybe 1 hour, just freshly opened bottle. But one of my friends that actually kind of tried this Glen Grant, he told me that each and every time he coming back to that bottle, he's drinking different whiskey. In my opinion, that was the biggest compliment that I've got about this bottle, you know, because it's exactly what I want. Why it's a Glen Grant? First of all, it's our secret love with Angus, because Glen Grant overall, it's not exactly like really extremely popular whiskey. Because it was always overlooked by the kind of whiskey geeks, because some of them thinking that it's quite simple. Some of them, for example, people that collect in whiskey didn't see collectibility of the Glen Grants, so on, so on. Also, sometimes Glen Grant has two sides, and which is in my opinion, it's okay. It's not a kind of big deal. Everybody loves different stuff, but for me, those sherried Glen Grants usually from Gordon MacPhail, they're not exactly representative of the Glen Grant distillate, because I'm kind of more fan of the bourbon casks of Glen Grant, but it's not too much of them, by the way, because even especially for the special releases for the kind of collectible bottles, something like that, usually they use sherry casks, but especially first fill sherry completely killing Glen Grant in my opinion, because Glen Grant, it kind of maybe delicate, yet it may be powerful, but the first fill sherry usually kill it, in my opinion, again. And then don't get me wrong, some of the examples of the sherry Glen Grant, gorgeous, but usually not first fill. Usually it's a second or third fill. That's the best.
Talk to us and show us a little bit of the label too, Igor. This one's kind of special, right?
Yeah, it's we discussed this label for quite a long time. First of all, it's me and Sponge on the label instead of official Glen Grant guys.
With a pipe.
Yeah, I'm sometimes actually I used to smoke pipe, and especially when I've met Sponge, I used to smoke pipe, so he kind of remembered that picture. And but you definitely can recognize my glasses, round glasses. I'm always with the round glasses, and yeah, it's a kind of funny portrait of us, and kind of two lovers of the Glen Grant, because any whiskey shows, any events in Europe, when I'm going to, if Sponge is there, he always kind of taking some secret bottle of Glen Grant, basically from the like back somewhere, because he said it's not too many people can appreciate that. So he always poured on me the best Glen Grants ever. And since then, I'm actually collecting a little bit Glen Grant, and I love Glen Grant. So we always looking with him for the same profile. So something like a bourbon cask, something like not that inoffensive, kind of easy drinking Glen Grant, just fruity. No, we're looking for the old school 60s, 70s distillate, which was something like that. And in Paris, when he actually poured me that little sample, I said, it's mine. I'm not gonna give to anybody, please. So he gave me the full cask. Wow. And I was very happy to bring to Canada. The cask was not big because it's almost 21 years old. It's actually only 2 months shy from 21. And it was not too many bottles. It was around 180 bottles from that cask. No, which is typical.
169.
No, Sponge left a little bit for himself. Yes, because like I said, he likes Glen Grant too. And we discussed a little bit what to put over here, and he put very nice sentence on the top: to the cold, icy wasteland of Canada I go. Kind of, a little bit of the Robbie Burns, kind of little bit poetry, and we put dedication to the people and clubs that working with us, and we put kind of, I would say, kind of interesting sentence, and exquisite exclusive bottling of Glen Grant for heads and tails to be used for the bribing the following humans. And we put the list of the people. I'm sorry, not everybody in this list, but I will try to get better. But also, it's very difficult to put on a small label too many names. I will try to put more next time, and I will try to get rid of a couple of in this list, which is always, you know, which is always the case. So yeah, it's very dear bottle for me. Surprisingly, it was amazing seller. So it was 27 cases. It's 2 left. And I brought this only in May, in end of the May. So to sell 25 cases in our nowadays state of economy and market, it's quite good. It's good achievement. So, and I'm very, very happy about this whiskey. I love it, seriously love it. And but you're gonna be the judges. So go on.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely the most challenging of the most complex, the most layers. I think Bobby's notes are bang on. I think for once we agree there, like those kind of honey nut Cheerios, you know, ginger spice, the palate, you know, the vanilla, the creamy, like I almost like an ice cream. Yeah, that's bang on.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, this is like night and day from when I opened it.
I'm very happy to hear that, Bobby, because I told you it's gonna happen.
Yep, you did.
And it's very good that it's you know, again, it can change not for the good, and it doesn't mean that it's good or bad whiskey. It's sometimes just not acceptable for your palate, just as simple as that.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to do the Ardmore next or the Croftengea?
Let's do Croftengea. Yeah, but I would like to hear more about the Glen Grant.
Yeah. So I can pour. Sorry.
Because you know it's kind of my pride, so I have to hear something else. So
I'm regretting that bottle when Bobby had it up on our site.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of Facebook hype on this one. I remember like a lot of people were posting about it initially. That might have helped move some.
Definitely, but it's another point. I'm very happy that, you know, people like it again.
I definitely agree with Bobby's saying about it comes across like a 48, like less than 50.
Yeah, it's just that creamy and fruitiness, like really toned down the ABV.
Okay.
Yeah, to me, the longer you let this go, the better it gets. It's hard to get a really good impression from a tasting like this. You need to sit at a table, you know, with a friend and over an hour really sample this one. It just gets better and better and better.
Actually, Simon, I think I opened this with you and Brisebois.
You might have, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this kind of reminds me of like unpeated Caperdonic, which obviously the sort of sister distillery, in the sense that I think I heard somebody describe it once as Glen Grant with an edge, and I feel like this is Glen Grant with an edge. Like it's a little bit more floral, it's a little bit spicier, like there's just a little something to it that's not maybe quite classic.
Yes, absolutely. That's exactly what we're looking for. And you know, the classic exists in a majority of opinions of people. Actually, that's a sherry cask of Gordon MacPhail. That's a classic, but if it's not actually. And it's interesting that you actually mentioned Caperdonic, because right now Sponge has a bottle of Caperdonic, and he called it Glen Grant.
Yeah, I bought one.
Oh, good for you. Yeah, good for you, Colin. I suspect that you're probably gonna buy it And I hope you got a good deal. It's not cheap, but it's amazingly good. It's that bottle, I can assure you, not gonna be disappointed, because I tried it and I was blown away. It's a Caperdonic, like classic Caperdonic. Again, not sherry, but bourbon. Okay, somebody else like it, don't like it, okay.
I was gonna say, sort of what to Colin's point, it's a lot of floral, like almost like roses, fresh roses. You
Yep.
know, getting a lot of like florist shop type notes.
Again, very typical Glen Grant notes if it's not covered by sherry, because from the sherry cask you cannot get it. It's not floral at all, because you know, sherry, especially active sherry, basically killing a lot of those, you know, light volatile notes, unfortunately. It works for some whiskey, but it doesn't mean that it works really well for others. And who never said anything? Chris, you never said even one thing about the bottles.
I'm still enjoying that, but I actually got a question, right? So
Yes,
for
good.
you have also mentioned that it kind of reminds you of the 50s or 60s of the Glen Grant, right? Similarly, I think I've also asked Bobby to ask you if there's still any of the Secret Space Side 2003 that is available, right? Because that one also had a very similarity of a profile of a Glen Grant, because that one is actually a Glen Grant, right? It's a Secret Space Side.
Yes, it was Glen Grant.
And I think I actually had a taste of that before from my friend, and that also gave a very like a recall of how a 50s or 60s of a Glen Grant is supposed to be, right? Does that also give you that kind of profile from
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. But unfortunately, it's this bottle sold out everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was trying to get another one for myself, and it's gone. That's actually sometimes I'm calling this situation like I'm a shoemaker without shoes. You know, like sometimes you just you know, don't have time to get some bottles.
Exactly.
And it's you're just missing them. Right now, I'm doing, actually from now I'm doing everything in a different way. Right now, I'm just absolutely allocating everything to myself, slowly checking them, slowly reallocating them to the shops, and no accidental passengers.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, like I think someone said, if I actually had to sit for an hour or two, right, it actually keeps evolving, keep changing in terms of profile,
absolutely.
and better and better now.
Absolutely, thank you. Because, like I said, it's one of my very dear friend, and he's experienced whiskey drinker, and he said each and every time I'm coming back to that bottle, I'm drinking different whiskey. For me, it's a compliment. It's a huge compliment.
It is.
Isn't there another Glen Grant coming? Am I crazy? Did I see that, like edition 95 or something of Whisky Sponge? Are we
Yes,
getting any of that?
yes, it is coming, but it's gonna be literally few bottles for me, because the Sponge said to me, you know what, don't be so greedy of Glen Grants, because I give you just a full cask and you want more. And yeah, that literally was the case. So it's gonna be like probably like a couple of cases only. Yes, it's coming eventually, not now. It, in the best case scenario, it might be before Christmas only. In the best case scenario. In the worst case scenario, I don't like to ship if it's too close to Christmas, because it's, you know, it's craziness in logistic wise. So sometimes I'm shipping in January. It's much easier, cheaper, so I don't need to just to, you know, put extra money on a price because some shipping company wants to get premium just because the shipping before Christmas. So yes, it's coming, but like I said, it's going to be extremely limited. I will try when I'm going to be in 2 weeks in Scotland. I will try to squeeze another few bottles from Sponge, but I cannot guarantee. But there's going to be lots of interesting whiskey still. And like I'm really kind of want to hear what Sponge kind of doing right now. What's gonna be those surprises, you know?
Yeah.
But I want more special releases for Canada, because we kind of became quite prominent market for Sponge, which is I'm very happy about. And so, you know, so I have a little leverage right now to ask for more.
Use it. Get in there.
Yep, I will. And don't forget, Sponge will start distilling his own whiskey, I think in September.
Oh, wow.
He co-owned the distillery.
Which one?
They built a new distillery called Kayth, Kythe. It's absolutely new distillery. It's very small, very artisanal, absolutely old school. Everything gonna be done as has been done in 1850s. So including like coal firing and everything. So like no new artificial gimmicks or something like that. Absolutely old school. And he opened this with two of his good friends, and they are huge enthusiasts of the whiskey. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. And when I asked him what it's gonna be, he said I will try to recreate Glen Grants from 60s.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, sounds good to me.
If you Google his blog, he has a really nerdy post about all the details of it from like a year ago.
Yeah. He's nerd. Like, he's complete nerd. He's one of the best specialists of the whiskey that I know. And he has absolutely phenomenal memory. So he remember all the bottles that he tried, like, I don't know, 10 years ago, or when he was at my place here in Toronto, he sometimes tell me, oh, I remember all the bottles that we tried. I was like, shit, it was like 10 years ago. Yeah, I already don't remember, but he really remembered.
I put the link in the chat.
Sorry?
You put the
Oh, to his blog post about his distillery plans.
Yeah.
I'm on to the Croftengea now.
Okay, let's go.
It's very vegetal, eh? Like it's got like an earthy vegetation to it. And then as I let it sit, it got sweeter and sweeter.
I just get lots of fruit. It's like a fruit pie on a campfire. It's so good.
Yep. It's actually if you don't know Croftengea, it's a Loch Lomond distillery. Loch Lomond distillery doing like 5 lines of the whiskey different ways. Unfortunately, one doesn't exist anymore, called Old Rose do. But everything else, I think it's still going. And Croftengea, it's probably the most peated Loch Lomond. So they have like unpeated, which is Loch Lomond. After that, they have very light kind of degree of the peat in Schmören. After that, little bit more in Spad. And after that, the biggest amount of parts per particle in Croftengea. I accidentally found many years ago cask of Croftengea from the whiskey agency. And I bottled it right away because it was, in my opinion, it was very unique whiskey. It was something else. Because at that point of time, I'm kind of was tired of the Isla peat. Because lots of Isla distilleries start that stupid competition for the
What would the
particle.
You have like a rough idea what the ppm is? I mean, it can't be that high.
Yes, I do. It's actually about from 50 to 60.
Yeah, okay.
Igor, if you can try to fix your mic, all of a sudden, just this last minute, it got a little less.
Like this is better?
There you go. Yeah, you're
okay.
better.
Sorry, I'm talking with my hands like Italian. So and
yeah, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, sometimes I'm. Yeah. So I like it's very unique character. It's definitely not Isla Pete, like it's absolutely not.
No.
And it's they calling themselves Highland Distillery, but whatever, but they lowland actually. They probably the I don't know, they their location in Loch Lomond basically. So it's Trossachs mountains, and I don't think so. It's a highland, but whatever. It doesn't matter too much for me. Glengoyne also are just a few kilometers from Glasgow, but they calling themselves Highland. But
Because they're on the north side of the road. The south side of the road.
Yes,
is lowlands.
yes. You're right. You're right. But actually, Loch Lomond, as I remember, it's the south side of that road. But they somehow call themselves Highland Distillery. But whatever. I used to really like Loch Lomond for me was like always dark horse, because it was a lot of years of experimenting of not successful whiskeys. It was a lot of not really successful trials and everything. But at some point, I was trying a few of the expressions, and I was like really impressed. And I was impressed with Croftengea. I bought a couple. I was impressed with Old Knockdhu because it reminded me of Little Mill a lot, actually. I was very happy with Inchmurren, which is very difficult right now to find somehow again. I don't know why, but I bought a couple of Inchmurrens and was really good ones. And so I'm actually looking forward to see more and more whiskeys from that distillery, because I think they very interesting, and with their crazy combination of stills, I think they can do whatever they want. Like if it just can be right people to make it, and it seems like a right people now. Maybe not now, but definitely was 15-20 years ago. When because majority of those whiskeys actually from those times, but I hope they have a good future. And by the way, I'm kind of really don't like when when you're saying like, okay, that's a good distillery, that's a bad distillery. It's not right. Bad distilleries in Scotland doesn't exist. It's everything that happening after that's the problem, because majority of the people that distilling, they know what they're doing, because it's still a lot of old school guys working on the distilleries, and they know how to distill the good spirit. But what's happening after, when the marketing department getting involved, that's becoming a really big problem for Scotch. Anyway, Croftengea, what do you think? Is it your first Croftengea, by the way?
For me, yeah.
Okay, good. That's interesting.
This is for me kind of evoking memories of Lechik a little bit.
Agreed.
A little bit of like, in a good way, like kind of that burnt plastic, kind of diesel fuel snowmobile. In a good way, I'm really enjoying it, but it's I would have thought it with Lechik if I was drinking it blind.
Okay, which is true, absolutely, yes.
Is this still
yes. Yes, I think so, or not. I'm not sure, actually. You know what, you have to check, because and if you check, you have to check first of all 3 stores. So Weinarts, KWM, and BSW. So that's main hubs that get in these things. But I'm not sure, because I cannot. Who? Okay, yeah. So somebody should. But yeah, I bought for myself a couple of bottles because I really like it. So
yeah,
and it's
does it too.
Okay, so yeah, like you have to check, and you have 2 people, at least 2 people or 3 or more, and this tasting that know how to deal with the shops.
Little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Anyway, so if it's a first Croftengea for you, so majority of you were impressed, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My
Yeah,
favorite.
This is
It's
my
my favorite.
my wheelhouse. This one, yeah, it's got that peatiness, the medicinal qualities, the fruitiness, viscosity. Yeah, it's quite nice.
Okay, good. Colin?
I was gonna say it reminds me of a heavily peated Glen Scotia, and I don't know why, but it has this
Good.
kind of like you said it right. It's not Isla peat. It's not really like heathery sort of Highland Park type peat, and I don't really
No.
feel like it's like classic Highland peat either. It
No.
sort of reminds me of Campbellton.
Yeah, it's industrial.
Yes,
It's got an
it's very
industrial vibe
very
to it.
industrial. Yes. And yeah, good. You see, that's a kind of my impressions too, because actually when Simon, choosing also the bottles, and he told me about let's try a little bit more peat. I pointed him to the 3 different peated bottles, but none of them Isla, which is for me quite interesting because we're focusing on Isla sometimes too much, in my opinion, because some of the Isla whiskeys, again, my opinion, absolutely boring, and some of them consistently boring, some of them consistently boringly good, but some of them really good. But it's so many of them sometimes, and they're so freaking overpriced nowadays that actually at some point I started to look for actually alternatives, how to find the peated whiskeys, but not from Isla. And I'm very happy to report that I was first person in Canada that actually bottled Croftengea. I was one of the first that bottled Ardmore, because when I found peated Ardmore first time, like really interesting whiskey, like I was blown away. I cannot believe that it's actually Speyside. So anyway, after Croftengea, what we have? Simon, what we have? Microphone?
Ardmore.
Ardmore, yes.
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, we got the Ardmore, the oldest one out of the taste.
Yeah, and the last one, what we have?
Knockdhu.
Okay. Okay, so interesting. Yeah, okay, let's do Ardmore, just for a change.
It's so different from a sherry Ardmore.
Yes.
It smells like a pine cone. I'm really worried about this being like that horrible Willibald whiskey that Simon loves.
It's not that bad.
Super pine, mint, grassy, ginger spice. I got like a barbecued, like if you were to like barbecue lemon, cut up lemon rings. It's got like some very interesting notes. I don't like or pine, but for some weird reason on the palate it works. The nose I don't like, but the palate's much better.
Again, that bottle probably needs to be a little bit open up. Probably, but for me, Ardmore, it's actually 3 things, and 2 of them you already mentioned, and the last one maybe somebody gonna mention. Let's see.
So it's the farminess on the palate, I'm guessing, is what you're getting at. It doesn't smell very farmy to me, but
no, not farminess. No, Colin. No, not farminess.
I'm getting like almost like a cured meat, like a deli meat kind of note.
Yeah, it's one. Second one, it's a pines, yes. And the third one, nobody yet, but I don't remember actually this one, and unfortunately I don't have a sample in front of me.
Like a metal polish cleaner or something.
Yeah, I guess.
A stainless steel cleaner.
I do get, I don't know about cleaner, but I do get kind of a metallic note in general from it.
Yeah, something like a nail polish.
Some like
I know where you're coming from, like, yeah, that kind of.
That Thai basil, like weird,
Yeah, I'm still trying to
Herbal.
find the note. Yeah, it's getting so close.
like a spice. I don't know.
Do this somebody has an kind of like almost like barbecued apples.
Yes, pineapple.
Okay. No, apples. Literally
Barbecued
apples.
apples.
Yes, like you're doing sometimes like duck with the apples or whatever. Like it's Eastern European recipes.
I was gonna say I've never cooked duck and apples on a barbecue personally, but maybe I'll try that sometime.
Yeah, it's very good actually. But anyway, for me, it's also apple. I like green apples, and that like really really green apples. And when you actually start shaving green apples, you have like a little bit weird aromas, like it's sometimes almost like just a touch chemical. Touch maybe like you said, nail polish or aluminum or something like that.
Acetone. Yeah.
Or maybe acetone. Yes, yes. So for me, those three. So barbecue, pine, needles, and apples. That's always for me Ardmore.
Yeah.
Bourbon cask. Definitely.
I don't like. Yeah, I think I've only ever had sherry, and to me it suits it better. In my opinion.
I prefer bourbon Ardmore big time. Because for me bourbon you see sherry Ardmore reminded me already of some of the Islay whiskeys. It's more typical. It's more like really really barbecue, like a bacon, like that's what from the sherry Ardmore coming. But bourbon Ardmore for me more clean, more interesting, more complex in my opinion.
A lot of Ardmore's aged in recycled Lefroy casks, right?
Yes, yes, yes. But I don't think this one actually. I don't think so, because usually everybody mention in Lefroy cask, and I don't think so it's Lefroy cask. But that's the case, yes.
Doesn't taste like Lefroy.
Yeah, it's not. As I remember, it's not. But like I said, I really big fan of the Ardmores overall. And I think it's absolutely undervalued whiskey still. And let's keep it this way, because otherwise price is going to be ridiculous. So
Do you
anyway,
have any idea what the story is? But speaking of sherry Ardmore, is behind this label, because I have no idea what on earth is going on here. This like tractor with lobsters attached to it thing.
Unfortunately, this one show me a little bit. Move.
It's the like sherry cask one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will ask. I'm not sure, but I will ask Sponge soon.
It's a very unique label even for them.
Yes, I will report for you, definitely. Unfortunately, I mean, not unfortunately, our conversations with the Sponge nowadays is very short, because he has 2 children right now, and actually he has his second child born just in May. So right now he doesn't have a good nights, obviously, and he's like, our conversations like yes, no, how many, such and such, and he said, okay, I'm looking forward to spend time with you when you're gonna come to Scotland, because at least I'm not gonna be at home, so it's not gonna be that distractions, so I will ask I will report to you, Colin, about that. So anyway, so this is opinions divided, yeah?
Yeah, on my end, I think
The empty glass.
it's not my favorite one, but I think it's got a few layers. It's got some nice notes. I think it's a good Scotch.
Okay.
Yeah, I like
the Glen Grant and the Orkney that are up there for me.
Okay.
I particularly like some of the octave Ardmore that I've had in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I always find that, and maybe this because it's got an age statement on it, that's 20 years plus, but I always find that anything 18 years or younger with the Ardmore, there's always a very, very strong pepper component in the finish. But I don't find that it's definitely here. Like that for me is it almost shares that little bit of like a heat on the finish, like an Amrut almost, which is obviously not even a Scotch, but they both have that kind of that finish characteristic that I'm maybe more sensitive to than other people. But typically, I have to pass on the Ardmores because of that. But this one actually sitting pretty well for me.
Did you get that 23-year single cask nation one that we brought in that really cheap?
I think I tried it with Dan Sennett a couple of weeks ago. I did really enjoy that one as well.
Okay, good. Anyway, so I think Simon, we done right that we put last bottle Knockdhu, because it's kind of weirdo. Also, so I like we actually to put pretty much three pitted weirdos in this tasting, because Ardmore is still I would say it's still weirdo, you know. Yeah, that's for you, kind of punch in the face a little bit.
Burnt rubber.
Yep.
Iodine.
I get like hickory smoke, like red peppercorns. It's got like a odd salinity to it.
Yeah, Knockdhu definitely not the first pitted Knockdhus I tried when the guy, distillery manager, came to the Ontario. It was a small festival in the Cornwall a few years back. It was a very good festival, actually. And so the guy came to Cornwall, and he brought with him samples from the distillery. And first time I tried pitted Knockdhu, and I was like, wow. It was so kind of, big surprise for me. I didn't know. I'm not sure did I like it or not, but it was such a huge surprise, because you basically I never tried pitted Knockdhu, because Knockdhu it's a name only. The distillery, I think it's a Knock, right? But it was surprise. And it was interesting surprise. After that, I tried a couple of different releases. I really like release from Valentin Mallet. It was young pitted Knockdhu, and it was quite good. But it's very unusual whiskey. It's good that it's a last whiskey, actually. Right now I'm pretty positive.
I'm getting like a kind of pickle olive brine sort of thing going on here on the nose. I don't know if I'm the only one.
Yeah, you get that, like I said, there's that like weird saltiness.
Yeah.
Which fine. But it worked. Igor gave this to me blind, and I had like no idea what I was drinking. It was like
But it's not just like salt, like, Paldney, or like, maybe like a bit of Talisker or something. Like it's like weird salt. Which is why I think like pickles.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's briny, but not coastal brine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like kosher briny.
Yeah, it's definitely not coastal. It's actually more like olives brine. Yes, but which I really like. So,
I
with
just
what?
saw a tire on the highway a couple weeks ago, and it's evoking a lot of memories of that fresh tire.
Mm-hmm. Jamie, you have lots of chemicals today. Looks like. Yeah, but it's okay. It's interesting. So anyway, it's a weirdo, but another reason why we put with Simon those three pitted bottles, because look, three pitted whiskeys, none of them from Islay or Campbelltown or Isle of Skye, but they all pitted, and they all quite interesting. It's some of them more of you like, and some of them not, but it's I think it's again those tastings meant to be for some kind of revelations, for discoveries, for something interesting, you know. Because if we're gonna like right now, I have like you can see samples on my okay, I'm gonna show you. That's I actually got COVID a few weeks ago, and first time I lost my sense of smell. That was a nightmare for me. So anyway, that's a samples. You see samples, 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 and usually those and it's only a small part of those samples that I'm usually getting. And unfortunately, you know, I refuse all those samples because you know it's I don't know how many Kaulilas I've got. Don't get me wrong, they're good, but they absolutely the same. Like everybody right now bottling Kaulila, 10 years old, 11 years old, 9 years old, whatever. Like, come on, guys, how many Kaulilas Canada can consume? Or at least the price is not too bad. But after that, it's like Lafroig, which is only because they call in this Williamson. It's almost 50 euros more per bottle just for the name of Williamson. What the hell is that? I don't care if it's going to be Williamson or it's going to be Donkey Peace or it's going to be something else, you know? Why it's supposed to be so expensive? And so on, so on. Plus,
the TWA Secret Isla was good.
Yes, but again, I'm not saying that it's bad, but it was the right price, by the way.
Yeah, super good and port.
So that was I'm not talking about a few years back. Right now it's different, absolutely different picture. Or if it's something inexpensive, it's gonna be like Glen Marai, Glen Tochers, what else? That most weird, Tullibardine, and a couple of others. How many the same names Canada can consume? That's why I still prefer to work with somebody interesting as Sponge, because he's kind of he's thinking outside the box. He's not scared to put something in a market almost like controversial, you know. Why not? Because at the end of the day, you see, even tonight at our tasting, we have different opinions. We have different views on those. Somebody like it, somebody not so much, somebody don't. But look at the variety of whiskey that we have, that we got tonight. I think that's the point. Because to drink same whiskey, nothing wrong with that. I have my regular go-to bottles too. But mostly I'm using them right now to check my palate and nose and everything. And especially after the COVID, you know, I was like, okay, am I feeling the same or not? Something like that. But it's just for me, just a drinker. It's not the sipper. But tonight we have quite a few of them. So interesting, so unusual, so kind of reminders from the past. Or just, you know, I would say controversial. So what about Knockdhu? Is it okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Excellent.
Your house.
So you see, we tried 3 peated, none Isla, but all of them, I would say, very good quality.
Very
Again, you can like it or not. That's a different story. But the quality, overall quality, is very good. It's definitely and the most important for me, it's no gimmicks over here. The most important, it's absolutely naked whiskey. It is what it is, you know, because you drink in Croftengea, it's Croftengea. Is it reminding you of light check? So pretty much true. Not as powerful as light check, I would say, because light check usually still a little bit more powerful, right? On the pit, on kind of upfront picture. Croftengea a little bit less, but very interesting. Ardmore, for me, you know, whatever I prefer now, sherry or bourbon, but Ardmore for me was already for quite a few years go-to peated whiskey because sincerely I'm not a huge fan of the very peated Islas anymore. I don't know, like hopefully we're gonna have some interesting surprises for you in the closest months. Because one guy in this crowd already were surprised. I've got very unusual sample with pretty much distillery, Isla distillery that I'm not huge fan of. But nowadays, I used to be. But that sample was absolutely surprised me and basically blew me away. And not only me, but our good friend Bobby also tried it, and he cannot believe when I revealed the name of the distillery. He cannot believe that it's actually that distillery. So it's coming. It's gonna be by nowadays standards very inexpensive, surprisingly inexpensive. But it's young. It's young. It's between 6 and 7 years only. But it was a huge surprise. So I'm looking. I'm still looking. And I'm trying. I'm getting more and more picky, if you ask me, because I'm not absolutely kind of, sure that it's a lot of good quality whiskeys, especially when we're talking value for money, unfortunately. But I'm still looking. I'm still trying. So I hope we still have a future. I'm not with Sponge. I'm gonna do more. I'm pretty positive because like it's my type of guy. It's not always friendly prices, I know, but he's getting whiskeys from different places, from different sources, and it's not easy sometimes to get some inexpensive things, especially when we're talking about close distilleries like Caperdonic or like 40 years old something, quite difficult. But the quality and his approach to the whiskey, I would say he's a kind of bold guy, brave. Because like I said, sometimes he put something in a bottle that he's absolutely not sure are he gonna sell this or not. Because he rely on his own tastes and feelings. That's what I like, and that's what I respect. And so that's kind of everything that I would like to say tonight. Right now, I can answer all the questions.
Yeah, no, that's a good place to end the recording, at least, Igor. Thank you very much. And